Like, dude, I had friends where their mom would do heroin. Matter of fact, we'd go to his house after school, and we'd walk in, and his mom would be on the couch. Listen, I can tell you how you get anything you want in life. You ready?
Yeah, tell me. I don't have my bomb dropping thing here, but you go.
Well, this is the truth. I mean, if everybody wants to know exactly how you get whatever you want, this is how you do it. If they really had a problem with Andrew Tate, don't you think they'd just kill him?
Yeah.
And he says, first they cancel you, then they put you in jail, and if that doesn't work, then they kill you.
Got superpowers, superpowers. I got superpowers, superpowers. Working 7 days a week in 24 hours. Yup, I got the business saying this boy sure is up to something. Why don't you come and listen? Just don't hit the power button. They say I'm crazy when I say I got them superpowers. 24/7.
Brad Lea, welcome to the show. Welcome to Become Your Own Superhero.
Well, thanks for having me, Laban. It's been a long time coming, but I'm finally here. I've arrived.
You have arrived. Do you know what? I was thinking about introducing you as a world-class stand-up comedian, because really, I think that's what you are. I think that's what you are.
You would be doing your listeners a disservice by saying world-class. I am what they call an amateur comedian.
If I'm not mistaken, though, you have been endorsed by one of the greatest comedians of all time, Dane Cook.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But again, still the craft. I have too much respect for the craft to consider myself a world-class comedian. I need a lot of work, timing. You know, I have decent material. Okay, fair execution. You know, I'm killer in the stage presence and confidence department, but the craft is too important for me to claim that I'm a world class. I've never attempted it. All I did was walked up and took a stab at it, and I did okay, but definitely not world class. But I appreciate your input.
Well, you're very welcome. Hey, if you're listening to this and you don't know who Brad Lea is, stick around. This podcast will make you rich, good looking. You'll get a girlfriend or a boyfriend if you need one. What else are they going to get?
Well, they're going to get real information, because that's what I give. I give out facts, truth. It's not always nice. It's not always, politically correct, but it is always the truth.
I've been observing. I always do a lot of research for these things. Brad, I read your book, which is a really brilliant book, by the way, and I encourage everyone to go out there and get it. We'll talk about that a bit later. I've seen you be given a number of compliments, and I don't see you receive them very well. Is there anything behind that?
Depends on the compliment. What compliments have you seen me receive?
So the most obvious, Dan Clark, who's a mutual friend of ours, one of the most revered speakers on planet Earth, did about a 3-minute monologue about how powerful you are and and how you've saved people's marriages. And then you turn around and you're like, yeah, I've probably caused a few divorces on the other end. It was just an interesting observation for me.
Well, it's interesting that you observe that. In reality, it's just, again, I think, at the end of the day, I think people overestimate how cool I am. I think people overestimate how cool I am. And when I hear somebody tell me, how much impact I've had or whatever, it just doesn't sit well with me, because I'm not giving out, rocket science information. I'm giving out, what I consider common sense. Now, a lot of people say, well, Brad, it's not common. I understand that, and I'm starting to understand that more, but I'll give you an example. Someone one time met me, and he was shaking, and he wanted a picture. So I took a picture, and he said, dude, you changed my life. I said, really? He said, yeah. Oh my God, dude, I've been following you. You literally changed my life. I said, what did I say? Because I'm interested. Like, change your life. That's pretty dramatic, don't you think? Like, what did I say that changed your entire life? And he said, you came out on stage when I was at 10X, and there was about 10,000 people in the audience, and you told us to brush our teeth. And I said, yeah. Because I said, when I walked out, people want to go build big businesses, but they can't even brush their teeth. People will walk up to me in, parties and networking events and want to talk to me. And dude, it smells like they just ate a shit sandwich. And I'm like, dude, look, this is a best $5 investment you can ever make. I said, dude, brush your teeth. Before you go build big businesses, brush your damn teeth. And everyone started laughing. But that's the one thing that resonated with the whole entire event. Literally, people were saying that all throughout the event. I ruined the event for that. Everybody was brush your teeth. So here I am 4 or 5 years afterwards, and someone said I changed their life. And what I said was brush your teeth. So again, I take it very lightly because, saving marriages. How do I save marriages? By telling men to, step it up, by telling men to be real. Men should be real. Listen, you want to hear what got me the most female followers ever? I said, if you have a good woman and she's out spending your income, you need to make more money. And of course, women love that, but it's also the truth. But I got a lot of people giving me, oh, you're a simp, this, that, and the other thing. Number one, I don't even know what a simp is. Number two, I said a good woman, and a good woman will always understand how much money you make and live within that. A good woman would. Okay. So if you have a good woman and she's out spending your income, you need to make more money, bro. So again, if that saved a marriage, then hey, I guess, I don't know, man. Let me just say it like this, Laban. I have bigger hopes for people. I'm assuming everybody's a lot brighter than maybe they are. So when somebody says, I've changed their life, I like to think to myself, I haven't really said anything major.
I remember seeing that post, and I remember smiling and agreeing with you in silence about the wife spending the money. And you just met my wife, and she is exactly that. And, we've been together just over 4 and a bit years now. And she met me at a rock bottom financially. I'd conquered the drink and the drugs and the gambling and the floundering and the limiting beliefs and the weight loss and the autoimmune disease and found my purpose, but I was skint. And we've had moments of feast and famine, and we're starting to get to a point where I'm looking forward to the day where she gets one of those funny colored Amexes that are made of platinum that she can go and spend whatever she wants, because she deserves every red cent of that. So I love that you say that. And I know that will trigger a number of people, but what you said about you assume most people know this stuff. Let me just refresh your memory. You and I, because of the impact we want to have on the world and the higher integrity that we want to do it with, end up being in a bubble of people that are on the same path, a lot more than your average person. And we normalize the stuff. And I think, and it's just a byproduct of what we do, right? And that's cool. But what I would say about the receiving the compliments, not in a sycophantic, greaseball way where people are trying to get stuff out of you, but like, I believe, just for me at least, there's a real art form in receiving that. Yes. And I don't dismiss it. I say, I'm saying thank you for that, to allow them to be able to give that to me. What do you think about that?
You are correct. I should be more graceful and I should receive. I should receive. It's just for some reason, deep down, maybe subconsciously, I don't feel that I deserve.
Which I find so interesting, given the work you've done.
Well, again, see what I mean? Given the work I've done, what have I done? Like, I haven't done anything.
Well, let's go back to your childhood, because your parents split up. They divorced when you were 2, right?
Well, yes.
And your dad was a high functioning drinker?
Yes.
Do you think that had something to do with it?
Perhaps, I don't know. But again, like you said the work I've done. What work have I done?
I know the work you've done, Brad. You've done multiple PhDs in improving your shit since whenever you hit your rock bottom, or whatever that looked like.
I know, but to me, Laban, it's not that big of a deal. That's what I guess what I'm trying to say. And it shouldn't be for other people either. Like, again, I talk to people sometimes especially in this motivational speaker world, where they want to dramatize their past to make it more touching. Oh, I was so poor. It was so bad for me. I was this far from putting a gun to my head and ending it all. Which again may be true, but like, haven't we all been there? Isn't that normal? Isn't that what we've all went through?
I think, yeah, I agree. I agree to a certain extent. I would say that there's a real art form to being able to share your story without operating in any victimhood at all. Would you agree?
If yeah, there's an art form to it, sure.
One of the many things I love about your book and what you talk about, you're very open and vulnerable. And I wrote a book called Bet on You, which is raw as fuck. And because I don't care what people think of me anymore. I know you don't think what people think of you either in that manner. And what I've found is the power in being so raw, because I've overcome it. Like, it's not anything that I'm still grappling with, and I've overcome it. And it's very relatable because people are like, shit, my childhood wasn't that bad. Like, maybe I could do something about it. And I think that's why you are naturally really endearing to me. I don't want to speak on behalf of other people, but clearly other people like what you're doing. And I don't want to make this a blow smoke up Brad Lea's date hole podcast, but I think all of us need to understand and recognize that we should never diminish what we've gone through, but to own it and then move on.
I would say that sounds like good advice. I don't know if I'm diminishing it. I just didn't grandize it in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, again, we blew up, we grew up, not blew up. We grew up, I would say, blue collar. We weren't rich by any stretch of the imagination, but we also had food, and we also got like Christmas presents most years. But my dad drank. He was a functioning alcoholic, I would say. He drank a lot. Now people are like, oh, dude, a lot of people's parents drank. A lot of people's parents are way worse than my parents were. Like, dude, I had friends where their mom would do heroin. Matter of fact, we'd go to his house after school, and we'd walk in, and his mom would be on the couch, like going like this, and we'd always go, what is that? Why is she doing that? And then she would throw up, and apparently she was doing heroin. Now, again, my parents never did heroin. They got drunk, seemingly nightly. But we still went to our families. It was, in other words, it was a good, normal childhood, man. I was not abused. I don't think in any stretch of the imagination that I went through a tough childhood. Compared to what I've seen and what I'm aware of, I didn't go through a tough childhood at all. I just went through a blue collar childhood. And a blue collar childhood just means you didn't have much money. That's all. There's nothing dramatizing about that.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I hear you.
But some people think there is. Some people will take that and they will twist it and they will make it seem very dramatic, and how they've triumphed. Look, I came from nothing and now I own multiple 8-figure companies, and look what I've done. And you can do it too. But see, I don't do that because you can do it too is the truth. But that was all this, triumphant, outcome I don't agree with. You use common sense, man. Listen, I can tell you how you get anything you want in life. You ready?
Yeah, tell me. I don't have my bomb dropping thing here, but you go.
Well, this is the truth. I mean, if everybody wants to know exactly how you get whatever you want, this is how you do it. Number one, okay, figure out what it is. Now, most people will be like, what do you mean? Well, figure out what it is you want, because most people never focus on it or pay attention long enough to figure out truly what they actually want. They might be influenced by family, but very few people know exactly what they want. That's the hardest thing to do, is figure out exactly what you want, not what you want for your wife or what you want for your family or what you want for other people. What do you want? So you figure out what it is. That's step number one. Step number two is you figure out how to get it. Right? You figure out what it is, then you figure out how to get it. Now, when people say, well, that makes sense, but that's obvious. Well, yes, but the trick is how do I do that? Well, Laban, is simple. You find someone who's already done it. That's it. You find someone who's already done it and you say, what did you do to get what you got? Because it just so happens that's what I want. And 9 times out of 10, they'll tell you. And if they don't, just go on to the next person, because someone will know. And then you do the third step, which is do the work. I see a lot of people stop right there because they're not willing to do the work. And the reason why is because they don't really want what they say they want. If they really wanted what they said they want, the work wouldn't stop them at all. The work wouldn't even be a hindrance. If I just snatched your wife away from you and I said the only way you're going to get her back alive is if you come work in a coal mine and smash rocks with a sledgehammer for 1 year straight, working 18 hours a day, and she'll be returned to you unharmed. Dude, you wouldn't say, 18 hours? I don't know about that. And if you did, then you don't truly want your wife. You know what I'm saying? So you do the work, and it's that simple. You figure out what it is you want. You find someone who's already achieved what you're looking to do or has what you're looking to have. You ask them how they did it, and then you emulate what they did, because like action causes like result. So if you tell me exactly what you did to get where you are, and I go do exactly what you did to get where you are, more than likely, in most cases, I'm going to end up where you are. That's just the truth. So again, people want to doubt it, but that's because 3 things stop people in life and make people: mindset, skill set, and habits. So if your mindset right now is making you believe that, oh, what I'm saying is too easy, it's too, it's got to be harder than that, that means your mindset's screwed up. That's all. But it's the truth. You figure out what you want, you find someone who's already got it, and then you do the work they did, and you'll probably get the same thing. And then along the way, the fourth thing, along the way, is you make adjustments. A lot of times we get taught to just, focus on one thing and never give up and just keep going no matter what. You can do the wrong things and consistently forever and not end up in the right place. See what I'm saying? Like if I'm going to California and I travel north and I don't stop, people say, well, eventually you'll get to California because the world's a globe. But that's not true. You go north, you're going the wrong direction. It doesn't matter how far you go north, you're not going to California. So make adjustments, pay attention along the way, use common sense, listen to feedback, and make adjustments. When I started my first company, dude, I was going to go out and be a trainer. I was going to be a Tony Robbins and a Grant Cardone. I thought I had better content than everybody anyway. Of course, I was young then, so I thought I was the coolest. So once I started getting feedback and realized I need to help other trainers, right? I need to go close the people that teach you to close. So literally I made an adjustment, and that's the only reason I think I'm here today. I could have kept trying to be the man and ended up broke in Hollywood.
Amen, brother. Well, VT Lightspeed you're talking about, and we'll get into that a little bit later as well. I want to ask your advice for other people. I have built over the last nearly 3 years a podcast from nothing, and I've been the best in the world at bringing on big name people without paying them or anything. What's your advice for a podcaster or somebody who wants to create a podcast to be able to get a hold of you and successfully get you onto their show?
Well, number one, it helps if it looks like you actually have a show. If you're on your third episode, I'm probably not going to be as excited that if it's your 100th episode, because most podcasters, they don't get past episode 10. So again, people call me sometimes and I see that they appear to be a little bit new, and I say, I'll be your 100th guest. Call me when I'm your 100th guest, and then they don't call because they never make it to 100.
They never. So listen to that, people. They never call, right? And the reason I want to ask you this, Brad, is that recently my career has taken a massive pivot, right? I had this amazing experience, 2021, declared myself the world's best courage coach, well on my way to being known as the world's most positively influential speaker. And it turns out that all the feedback from all these far more intelligent people than me are saying, Laban, you're a world-class connector, and you need to teach people how to bring world-class guests onto their podcast through this Podcasting Heroes thing that we've created. And I'm like, I wanted to teach people courage, but courage was the fuel, but I needed a vehicle. And so I've had this huge mic drop moment in my life. Just in the last week, this has happened. And I was curious to know, like, when did you have your mic drop moment in your career, if you can remember?
Well, again, I didn't realize it was a mic drop moment as it happened, but looking back, the mic drop moment was when I realized that I wanted to help other people rather than myself. So I had taken this guy from being a lot porter, which is, the guy who washes cars and moves the cars and jump starts the cars at this car dealership, Mexican dude. And, he was a real nice kid, had a great family. They'd always come into the dealership very, quiet and shy. And, the wife was always, quiet and shy and, real nice though, just timid. And, I'm far from timid. So I would just watch these, watch them. And, we got to be friends. So I said, hey, let me show you how you make some money. He didn't think he could. I brought him out front. I showed him how to sell clothes and persuade, turned him into a badass salesperson. And he went from making minimum wage to about 20 grand a month. Well, I watched his family come in after he was making 20 grand a month, and man, they acted completely different. They were happy. They were freaking they were walking tall, new clothes. And I thought, dude, that's awesome. I need to do that for other people. I can teach people how to sell clothes and persuade. So I literally said, I'm going to quit my job, which I was probably making $500,000-600,000 a year. It's a pretty good job. And I said, I'm going to quit my job and go help other people. Before that, all I wanted to focus on was me. I just was trying to get rich myself. And no matter what I did it for me. I was out for me 100%, no matter what. And for some reason that made me start trying to help other people. Like it was just hey, I want to go help other people because that felt good. So I quit my job to go help other people. And that was the mic drop moment. That's when everything started changing. When I focused on helping others.
Was there is there a coincidence that you're a man of faith?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Like spirituality or?
Yeah, I'd say a man of faith. I'm not, I'm not religious. I'm faithful.
Not Zig Ziglar religious, but like spiritual. Like, looking back at my own journey, Brad, when I used to do all the partying in my hedonistic life, my connection with source was pretty non-existent, pretty atheistic, really, even after growing up in a pretty Christian family, which I had sort of forced down my throat. So I wasn't a big fan of it, but my reconnection with the universe has magnified my joy, my fulfillment, my happiness, my relationships. Like, has that played a big role in your life?
No. I mean, who knows? Maybe ultimately, supposedly, it's all because of him. But I'm still doing what I've been instructed to do in the scripture.
Which is what?
Seek.
And ye shall find?
That's what they say. You know what I found so far?
What?
That number one, his name's not Jesus.
What is it?
Joshua. And it was Joshua. Now again, like people want to call him Jesus because that's what we were told to call him, and that's what the pastors and the preachers and the priests all say. But in reality, his name wasn't Jesus, and it's never been Jesus, and it still isn't Jesus, but yet everybody thinks it is. And what's crazy is if you look it up and go back to the very beginning and look it up, his name wasn't Jesus, it was Joshua. And someone will say, yeah, but it translates to Jesus. No, it does not translate to Jesus because there were other Joshuas and they became Joshuas. So Joshua was the name of Jesus back in the day. So they switched it to Jesus because when they were taking the Bible, or the scripture, I should say, because the Bible's man-made, but the scripture, and they were going to translate it to Greek, they had to come up with a name that would tell the Greek mythologists that he was a deity, that it was a male, et cetera, et cetera. So they named him Iesus, Iesus. Iesus. That's where the name Jesus came from, was Iesus, and they made up Iesus to try and get the Greeks to understand that this who he was. So again, it wasn't a translation, it was the straight up made up name. Now, if you look at the 10 Commandments, one of them says, don't take the Lord's name in vain. Now, if you look up the word vain, it actually means to make meaningless and useless. So my question to people is, if that's the case, and it's one of the commandments, you're not supposed to take the Lord's name in vain, which means don't make my name meaningless. How much more meaningless can you make a name by not using it? So like if you said, Brad, tell everyone Laban sent you, and that's all I want from you. And I never, ever, ever spoke the word Laban again. I made it up. I called you Bubba. That's what I think. Now, some people say, well, Brad, he knows who you're talking about. Hey, maybe so. But you look at the scripture, it says, give praise to my name. It says, my children will know my name. Now that makes sense, right? Like, who's your dad? You know his name? You don't know your dad's name? Well, shit, dude, that ain't your dad. You got to know your dad's name. And some people, they don't know their dad's name because he wasn't around, right? Well, again, if you hung around your dad and you were close to your dad, you think you'd know his name?
I do, yeah.
Okay, well, again, when people say, what's his name? And they say Jesus, first of all, Jesus isn't God. Jesus was chosen by God. Who's God? Well, they're one and the same. They're not one and the same, because when Jesus was on the cross, he looked up and said, why hast thou forsaken me? Who's he talking to? Himself? Who's he talking to? Why is he asking himself, why are you doing this to me? That's almost schizophrenic, isn't it?
It is schizophrenic.
No one said he was schizophrenic.
He definitely wasn't.
That's because they're not the same person. God chose Yahshua, right? He's a chosen one. He's the only begotten son. By the way, begotten means brought back to life, which means, and by the way, it says we're all God's children, right? Including Yahshua. So imagine like him being appointed the king, and they say, he's your king. Okay, good. He's our king. He walking around the earth did not claim he was God.
Well, if begotten means brought back to life, then the real Brad Lea is a begotten son.
Why is that?
Because when you drank the mineral terps when you were 2 and died on the table, was that you? Yeah,
I was flatlined. I obviously wasn't dead, or they wouldn't have been able to bring me back, but I was flatlined. That would be, hey, maybe that's why I'm so cool. I
didn't want to say it.
Maybe I'm a chosen one too, but in reality, I've talked to all kinds of biblical scholars about this, and most of them say, Brad, it's crazy that you know all this. And I say, well, why? And they're like, well, what you're saying is true. And I'm like, well, if you know this, why do you keep saying Jesus? And they said, well, number one, it's hard enough to get people to come to church. So I don't want to confuse them. Okay, again, confuse them. Like, you're confusing them by saying Jesus when you know his name's not Jesus. And then you start making up things like, well, he knows what you mean, and it's okay. All he cares about is like, dude, I just read the scripture. Scripture says, don't forget his name. Don't make his name meaningless. Well, that's why when I refer to Jesus, I always say Yahshua, because I'm not making his name meaningless. And by the way, God, his name was Yahuwah or Yahweh or Yahweh, depends on how you pronounce it. But I know that when I die, if I go to the gates and if they say, who you here to see, I'm not going to say Jesus.
Well, I did a penis envy plant medicine journey last year, Brad. Have you ever done any psilocybin?
Sure. Hasn't everybody?
You'd be surprised. And I met in my journey, and you got to remember, I'm clean from alcohol for 7 years this year, longer for drugs. It was the first time I've done anything in that style. I had the most powerful experience, and I met my creator, like whatever that vision created for me to interpret as my creator. And it was one of the most humbling experiences of my life. And it really shifted my thinking on what I know about the planet. And that is, I don't know anything. So I have to rely on my intuition. How often do you rely on your intuition, and how important is that in your day to day?
I rely on it quite heavily, and I believe everyone should. I think that's literally our compass. Like if you have a sneaky suspicion someone's a dirtball, they're probably a dirtball. I listen to my intuition a lot more nowadays. Before I didn't, but every time I didn't listen to it, I was always wrong. Like I'd be like, I knew it, I knew it, I knew that, but I just wouldn't listen to myself. I didn't trust myself. Now it's like, listen, what could happen? What's so bad if I'm wrong, which I've never been really. So like my intuition is usually dead on.
So my question for you is, because this is something I'm dealing with now, is that I feel like, because it's a muscle, like you get better and better the more you use it, I think. Like, how do you know the difference between intuition and a limiting belief?
Well, I think your intuition speaks to you. Limiting belief, stops you. You got to understand the difference. Like for example, I'll give you an example. This guy wanted me to invest in this deal. And I'm like, explain it to me. They said, you put in money and we will give you 12.5% every quarter. And you can take your money out anytime. And I'm like, so you're telling me I give you $1 million. You're going to give me 12.5% every quarter. Okay, $125,000 a quarter, and I can take my money back anytime. They said, yeah. I said, yeah, my intuition was too good to be true, too good to be true, too good to be true. I just wouldn't do it. Now, I had buddies that did it, and they're getting paid, they're getting paid, they're getting paid. And by the way, these guys, I know them well. They're regular stand-up people. And so 3 years into it, I finally go against my intuition, and I say, fine, here's $1 million. And sure enough, I got checks for like 3 months. Or no, the first quarter, I got a check. The second quarter, I got a check. And the third quarter, I did not get a check. And I called and I said, what's up? And it turns out, oh, it's a Ponzi scheme. And the guy's busted. And we're going to try to get the money back for everybody. But yada, 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 yada. Like my intuition was correct. I knew I shouldn't have done it. I knew it. And so again, a lot of those through my life have now taught me to just listen to my intuition. If I have an intuition, I'm going to listen to it. Now, what you're saying is, how do you know if it's an intuition versus just that negative limiting voice in your head? Mm-hmm. That's a great question. And I'm not sure I have the answer. I know because one comes from my gut and one comes from my head. Like limiting belief, you're like, I don't know if I can do that. That's coming from up here. My gut tells me something. That's intuition.
The only suggestion that I have at this point is the better I looked after myself physically and then mentally and emotionally became way more stable, the louder that intuitive noise is to me. Do you know what I mean? Like I used to numb out with drugs and alcohol and gambling and fucking around, and I wouldn't pay attention.
You sound like my boy Shane Warne.
I used to bowl leg spin as well.
And by the way, did Shane Warne die?
Yeah, heart attack.
See, I just heard that, dude. But he partied like a rock star, mate. I hung out with Shane Warne for about 4 days here in Las Vegas when he was here. He introduced me to Mike Tyson, a couple poker buddies introduced me to Shane. I didn't know who he was, but turns out he was a cricketer, which I don't even know who that is or what that is, but cricket, I didn't know how big it was. So so I'm hanging out with Shane, and he's a cool dude. He's funny, he's got the Australian accent, everybody loves him. He's life of the party. And so next thing you know, Mike Tyson shows up. And apparently they're buddies. So now I'm sitting there with Shane Warne and Mike Tyson. This is like the craziest night ever. They're like, let's go to this club. So we all start walking to the club. Well, when Mike Tyson walks through a crowd, dude, everybody, knows who it is. Well, Mike Tyson was behind us. Me and Shane were walking in front. And next thing you know, everyone started parting ways. And freaking out because it was Shane Warne. And this is the first time I realized like how famous he was in Australia. But a bunch of Australians were at this club apparently, and everyone just freaked out that it was Shane Warne. They didn't even care if Mike Tyson was there. But
you talk about, when we were talking at the beginning about, like people going through hardships and stuff, like that, they were real hardships. Like, it's such an interesting feeling having freedom stripped away. It's such an unusual feeling growing up, where you and I have grown up, grew up in New Zealand and Australia, like, Huey, right, mate, fair sucking me sad, fair crack at the whip. And it's like, And it's, it was a humbling experience, not anything I want to ever go through again. And I know I've been observing some of your observations on this whole Andrew Tate thing. Do you have any commentary or any thoughts on that whole situation? He's in jail at the date of this recording with Brad and I.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I know people who know him, and my intuition says that he's, not guilty of anything that, is major. In other words, he obviously is in the sex business. So when you're dealing with women who are willing to, get on a webcam or, have sex for money or any of that, again, that's against the law. So if it's against the law, it's against the law. But when they say human trafficking, it makes everybody think little kids in a boxcar, being, carried in dark, places, which I'm sure that happens. I don't think he was doing that. I think they're using some loophole to try to bring him down a peg or two. And, I'm not necessarily sure it's as big as everyone thinks. Like, for example, everyone's like, the Matrix is trying to get him. Listen, guys, trust me when I tell you, the Matrix doesn't need to put you in jail. Okay. There's people in the world that are called assassins, and they're real. Okay. There are really I know someone that I could pay right now that would fly and find you and kill you. I'm serious.
I don't know why that's so funny.
But it's true. I know people that will literally take money from me and go kill somebody. And there's people listening to this podcast going, yeah, I know someone like that too. Okay, so like there's assassins in the world, folks. There are mean, evil people that will kill somebody. If they really had a problem with Andrew Tate, don't you think they'd just kill him?
Yeah.
He says, first they cancel you, then they put you in jail. And if that doesn't work, then they kill you. Flip those bitches around, okay? They don't like your ass, dude. The truly elite, they'll just have you whacked. Okay, John F. Kennedy never went to jail, did he? John F. Kennedy didn't get canceled, did he? No, they just whacked his ass. And they did whack his ass. And by the way, now the videos are coming out. I saw a video years ago, and I kept telling people, I'm like, dude, the driver of the car was driving, and a gun went over his shoulder and shot the president in his head. And you could totally see the gun from the driver like this. And everyone's like, shut up, dude. That would have been news, worldwide news. Now the video is surfaced. Now the government is admitting it. Now it's known that the CIA, which was the driver of the vehicle, shot John F. Kennedy in his head with a plastic bullet that had shell toxins in it. And that's why you see Jackie trying to get out of the car, because she saw the driver shoot the guy in her husband in the face. So she tried to get out of the car. You can see it in the footage. And then they kept her in the car. Why would you try to get out of the car if your husband just got shot? Wouldn't you be ducking? No, because the driver shot him. And dude, I saw that footage a long time ago, and I told everybody that I saw it. Everyone thought I was crazy. And now it's out. You can Google it. Have you seen it? Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, you can Google it, dude. The video's out now. It's called just Google driver shoots John F. Kennedy. I'll bet you'll see the footage I see. Now, again, some people say, well, it could be doctored. Well, it could be doctored. That's the thing. You don't know anything. Like you said, Shane Warne just got boosted. How do you know?
He tweeted about it.
Okay, so if he just got boosted, then he died of a heart attack, I guarantee it's the booster. And by the way, everybody knows it. The ones that don't want to hear about it are the ones that got it. See, here's another example, by the way. I heard someone the other day saying, you should be so proud if you didn't get vaccinated. You are so strong to not be vaccinated. You withstood the greatest mind fuck on planet Earth, the greatest psyop ever in the history of the world on humanity, and you survived it. You overcame. You should be so proud of yourself. And I thought to myself, it wasn't nothing to freaking say no to that. Like it wasn't even a thought in my head. Like there was no psyop. There was no period. From the second I heard about it, never going to do it. I don't care what they do. And by the way, they say, well, what if they come house to house? Dude, if they come house to house, forcing in vaccinations, oh yeah, then I would have went out in a blaze of glory, because you're not injecting me or my children forcefully. And if you do, dude, then I guess I'm done with this world.
Yeah.
It ain't happening. Now, again, I could be killed in the action of defending myself, but I'm not too worried about door-to-door injections. But everybody says you're so brave, to withstand all that. Dude, I don't agree. I don't agree. Like, again, dude, am I downplaying it? Was I so brave?
I don't think you're wrong at all in what you're saying. I just think you're at a different level of consciousness, Brad, because you've got access to resources and knowledge and the financial that allow you to step away from it and be detached. Whereas like I was sort of forced into my entrepreneurial journey, and I did what I needed to do to survive financially during the lockdowns, because we had 290 odd days of lockdowns in Melbourne, right? And I'm very resourceful, but I know a lot of people who aren't, and their job is inextricably linked to who they are. And so the thought of giving up their job for not getting a jab that's also going to pariah them from their social crowd was just too much for them. I think that's what people are referring to. What do you reckon?
Again, I think just people like to dramatize, aggrandize things. I don't think if you decided not to get the vaccination, I don't think you were brave. I think you were smart.
Yeah.
If you got the vaccination because you had to go to work, and I understand, dude, you got to feed your family. You were scared, it's just a vaccination. You trust the government, you trust doctors. Why not? So, I can see both sides of it. But when it came to, them saying that you were so brave not to do it, I don't think you needed to be brave not to do it. I think you needed to be smart not to do it. Now, again, there's people right now that will argue that you had to be an idiot not to do it. The other day I made a post, dude, I still have people fighting about freaking you should be vaccinated. And I'm thinking to myself, do you not see all these athletes dropping on the field in front of our eyes? You don't see all these heart attacks. You don't see the insurance companies refusing to insure triple vaccinated people. There's the vaccine is not a good thing. Everybody knows it now. And if you don't know it, man, you need to wake up, people. And if you got it, again, hey, I feel bad for you. I if you would have been around me, I would have tried to convince you not to. I told everybody in my family, do not take that thing. And a couple of them did. And by the way, they're all fine. Nobody's died of a heart attack. Everybody's good. Matter of fact, they said, oh, they're not going to have babies if they get nope. I know someone who got injected and had a baby afterwards. So it doesn't seem to be harming anybody I know. I know a lot of people. My assistant she's like a liberal. She got a shot. All the boosters, everything. She's fine. But again, it's only been a couple years. Give me 5. If they're all still fine, I'll let you know. But if they all dead of heart attacks in 5 years, we'll know for a fact.
You know who's coming on the podcast later today?
Who?
Stu Peters.
Stu Peters.
The Stu Peters show. He's like Alex Jones. He's after Alex Jones, it's Stu Peters. So he created the documentary Died Suddenly.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
Dude, I watched that. Now, again, see what I'm talking about? Like, if that's true, because listen, I'm fair on both sides. Like, who knows if that documentary is true? Are those embalmers actually real? But let's assume they are. Because I always assume everything's true. If that's the truth, why are why is nobody talking about it?
I think for a number of reasons, because I've been exposed to this through the podcast and through my own health journey prior to COVID. And I've had people like Dr. McCullough on, Vera Sharav, who was a Holocaust survivor, Dr. Ben Tapper.
Do you find they get suppressed?
Dude, all of them. I had a video deleted off YouTube that was listed as a private. I was using there just to keep the raw footage there as a backup. And it was with Dr. Ben Tapper, who was named one of the disinformation dozen by the Biden government. And they deleted it for medical misinformation. I was like, it's private. And I got a strike. And then ever since then, my YouTube channel has just gone.
Well, believe it or not, my YouTube channel was heading in the right direction, and I put up Dr. Rashad Buttar. I think he's one of the dozen misinformation doctors.
I think so, yeah.
I put up an interview with him within like a day and a half. It had like 1.8 million views, and boom, they shut it off.
What advice would you give people to navigate? Because you got social media pretty much on all of them, right? What would you recommend to help navigate that if you want to bring on people that you just want to hear their opinion? Because I don't care, Brad. I just want to know the truth so I can make an informed decision. It's my whole mentality, right? What's your advice for navigating the social media side of things for people that want to get their word out, get their message out there?
Well, I mean, I would say be mindful that there's different viewpoints, and these platforms seem to lean more towards the stupid views. And I say stupid, not stupid, but same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. In other words, if you're on Instagram, for example, and you say wrong information or anything that's against the narrative, well, they'll shut you down and kick you out, and now you're off Instagram. You'll be canceled. You don't want to be canceled. In my opinion, you should understand the rules and play by them so you can have enough time to figure out a way to do it better. Like if you ask me, I haven't been canceled. So I said the other day, don't get canceled, play by the rules. Well, I had a bunch of significant people reach out and say that was, bad information, and they were pissed. I had them on my podcast actually, but they were totally against me saying that. And they said that we are not supposed to go with the rules. And I'm like, dude, if you're canceled and you're silenced, what good can you do? You can't do anything. So I would say play by the rules, meaning don't like, turn into them, but in other words, like, just be smart. Don't say what they don't want you to say the way is obvious, and they will stop you. I would keep your accounts active, and I would just navigate through with intelligence and just be mindful that they don't like that. Like one time I was on a phone call with my buddy. He was doing FaceTime. He was on a TikTok live, and I said something about, I said, have you seen the clown that hides from gay people? And he said, no. And I said, well, he must be hiding from you then. And because I said gay, TikTok kicked me off the live.
What?
Yeah. As soon as I said, have you seen the clown that hides from gay people? He goes, no. And then I said, oh, he must be hiding from you. Are you gay? And then all of a sudden I got kicked off the live, and it said that I was violating their terms for hate speech. And I'm like, I didn't even say anything. So then I called him back on the phone, right? His cell phone. And he was still on the live with Instagram and TikTok, but they booted me for saying gay for some reason. And so I said to him, dude, they just booted me because I said gay. And he goes, really? And I said, yeah. And I know 2 dudes that were on the live that are gay. And I said, dude, their name's Mike and Eli. They're totally openly gay. And I said, dude, is gay bad to gay people? And I kept saying gay because I'm trying to figure out, like, is gay even bad? Like, don't they call themselves gay? Like, isn't gay like what they call themselves? And they're like, yeah, there's nothing offensive about gay. And boom, they shut Albert. His name was Albert. They shut him off TikTok, and they banned him for a week. And they sent him a thing that said, dude, don't be talking hate speech, or you will lose your account. So he was literally banned for a week because we were saying the word gay. So again, guess what? On TikTok, don't say gay, fool. Don't say gay. Look at my TikTok right now. Now, again, dude, believe it or not, like 2.2 million followers. Let's see. Might be 2.3 any day now, but 2.2 million followers. And look what it says at the top right there. You see that
Account
red?
warning? Account warning?
Account warning. So you open up the account warning, and here's what it says.
The next violation could result in being prevented from accessing some features. Review our community guidelines. And you've got...
Which these are all the violations. And if you look at all those videos, all those violations, I didn't say anything major, dude. I didn't say anything bad at all. They've got algorithms and AI listening for words and word tracks that they apparently don't like. And if they don't like it, you're getting shut off. So if I were you, I just would pay attention to those. That's all.
Ude, uye, ixpe, igpe, etnale?
Yes, yay.
Akfe, esye.
Uhe, usn't day.
Uye, udwe, eBay, a surprise day.
It's surprised to say.
I'm fucking rusty, as is my Pig Latin, by the way. Brad, you got 7 kids, which is a great effort, by the way. My wife and I are working on our first. And I remember reading in your book, your first child was a bit of an interesting experience. You happy to share that?
Well, what do you mean?
It happened pretty early on, I think, when you were just exploring sex.
17, yeah. First time I decided to have it, boom, I had it, had a baby. Now, the funny thing is I thought, damn, I don't want to do that again because I was only 17. So I waited a year and a half, and the second time I did it, another baby. So I had 2 babies very, very early. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I'll keep exploring because there was some denial about the baby being yours. Was that the first?
The first one was no denial.
Second. So the second one, you were put your head in the sand. What was going on there?
Well, she wasn't very attractive, and I didn't want to be associated with having humped her, which I you know, I had a reputation, but you know, at the end of the day, I avoided responsibility because I didn't really, let's just say, finish. You know what I mean? So I didn't finish. I thought she was full of shit, and she wasn't that good looking. So between all those, I'm like, I'm denying it, period. You know, so I honestly believed it wasn't mine. Or I would, if I knew for a fact it was mine, I wouldn't have denied it. But I would have swore that I didn't, that she wasn't mine. And you know, this girl was obsessed with me, like obsessed. And so I couldn't get away from her. And so I tried to get away from her. Then she infiltrated people that I knew, and she was like this stalker weirdo, or at least I assumed. But now looking back, dude, she just really liked me. I mean, see, I was dramatizing it. See what I mean? Like, that's why I downplay everything. Like, she was stalking me. She just liked me. But anyways, she liked me a lot, and she didn't want me to go. And she was, you know, aggressive towards wanting to stay together because of the baby. And I'm thinking, that baby's not even mine. Number one, I didn't finish, so it can't be mine. I didn't realize that you can still get people pregnant without finishing. And it wasn't mine. And so I denied it and avoided it and tried to run from it. But you know, years later, I finally took a DNA test and came back. She is mine. So since then, we're all patched up now.
Well, I was going to say, what was the gap from when the baby was born to when you took ownership of that situation, time-wise?
Probably about maybe 12, 14 years.
So you got a teenage daughter that you reconnect with for really the first time. What's the relationship like now with your daughter?
Well, the first one, the mom told me to come around or I couldn't see her. So the first one took my daughter and disappeared on me.
Wow.
Met this guy, got married, and disappeared. And they intentionally disappeared where I couldn't find them. So the first one I was chasing after. The second one I was running from. See what I'm saying? Now, again, people are like, oh, Brad, that's crazy. Listen, didn't we all go through something like this? You didn't get no one pregnant when you were a kid. You didn't hump in high school. Like, come on. Everybody acts like, you know, oh, geez. Look, like when felons, people are like, ooh, you have a felony? Oh, my God. Dude, listen, everybody's got a felony. Okay, they just didn't get caught. The ones that don't have a felony with the state are the ones that didn't get caught. Okay, I used to I smoked weed, did acid, crank, meth, sold it, took it, all the crap. Like, dude, I was hooked on crack for 3 days at one point. People, I said that, it was on a video, and all the comments underneath were totally, cap. This guy's lying. Nobody gets hooked for 3 days. It was the total truth. But again, isn't this normal? Didn't everybody have a life like that? I don't understand. Like, dude, it was normal for me. All my brothers and sisters tried everything. You didn't try anything when you were a kid?
Oh, mate, I've got fucked up for years. But like, if you go to other countries and other cultures, like I know 26-year-old dudes who have never kissed a woman that live at home with mum and dad in India that are waiting to be married by arranged marriage, that have never drunk or done anything in their lives.
Well, use that as an example, dude. So I've done coke, meth, ecstasy, weed, mushrooms, alcohol, and that's about it. Like, I never did anything heavy. And whenever I say that, people start laughing. Like, dude, weed, coke, meth, those aren't heavy. I didn't shoot them. That's heavy.
That's heavy.
I just snorted them and or smoked them. But I tried them all. Now, people say, well, what about now? Well, now I don't do anything. People are like, oh my God, tell us how you did it. See what I mean? I grew up. I got tired of it. My intelligence said that's not going to lead to a very good place. Just inherently knew crack is not a good thing. Wanting something that badly that made you like dissolve in front of people's eyes. Because again, you do crack for a long time, dude, you're done for sure. And again, I can see that. I'm not stupid. So everybody thinks that's some big, major thing that I've overcame. And again, you said you've done drugs. Now you don't. People probably say, oh my God, how did you do it? What do you mean? You just stop.
I did a lot of work on, I didn't use any 12-step. I was a bit like you in many ways, but I did a lot of work on all the escapism behavior that I picked up from my childhood. Was a bit like how you describe yours. Like, I had the stuff that I needed. There was periods of total lack, like where we had no food and no power, but I had a roof over my head the whole time. But I picked up a lot of negative traits and behaviors. I didn't know how to be a masculine man. I knew how to be a cuck. Like, I had to de-learn all that stuff and be present with my feelings and learn that the behaviors that I was exhibiting were leading to this wanting to escape because my life was fucking terrible. You know what I mean? So it was me getting clear on that helped me just go, oh, fuck, easy. Like, I gave up everything without any program or, I got access to a gambling psychologist for about 1.5 years for free back in Australia. And that helped being heard by someone that didn't judge for the first time. But I never had to go through a big detox or any of that stuff. This has been fascinating, Brad Lea. Where can people find you?
bradlea.com.
And all your social media handles are The Real Brad Lea, if I'm not
The Real Brad Lea. You can Google me. I always say Google me because you'll find me everywhere once you do that. Google me, you'll see everything I do and everywhere I'm at and all that.
His book is called Lessons I've Learned, so you don't have to.
No, it's The Hard Way.
Is that the title?
The official title is Lessons I've Learned the Hard Way, so you don't have to.
There you go. Listen, it's on Amazon. It's the only book you've got that I can see for now. Is that right?
It is. Yep.
And what's the significance of a sneaky rhino on the cover?
Well, I've always identified with a rhinoceros because they're unstoppable.
And you got a huge horn.
That's right. And then have it right here.
Oh, you do? You're all over that stuff.
Yeah, I'm a rhino. And most people have a hippocampus. I've got a rhino campus.
This needs to go on the Netflix special, Brad. Brad, do you have any concluding thoughts for our audience today?
Man, I would just say, listen, regardless of what people tell you, reaching a level of success is quite possible, and it's not as hard as you might have been sold on. at the end of the day, everyone is capable. If you don't already know that, then just focus on 3 things: your mindset, your skill set, and your habits, because those are the reason you are where you are. You just need the right mindset, the right skill set, and the right habits, and I'm telling you, you can have anything you want in life. You can become your own superhero, because no one's coming to save you. That's for damn sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brad Lea.
Thank you for having me.